So chocolates, varieties of coffee, different teas, cool drinks, nice furniture, leather-bound files, nice music, all of that stuff can no longer be delivered in the virtual world in which we work. Or can it? Let's find out.
This is Propulsion, the podcast for forward-thinking and driven and ambitious financial planning professionals. It is the catalyst to the exponential growth of your financial planning practice, your business, or your franchise. This is where professionals come in order to learn about the latest technology, to learn about best practice when it comes to running and managing their business, as well as marketing, sales, relationship building, the best and most valuable interviews with local and international guests, and a whole host of other things. Without any further ado, here is your host, Francois du Toit.
Sure, I just talked myself out of breath, which is a bit weird for me. All right, so what are we talking about? Well, customer experience. And for me, we just need to make this distinction between what is customer experience and what is customer service, because we can deliver great customer service, but that doesn't mean that the experience is so great, or that there's any experience actually from that point. And I think if your customer experience hinges on customer service, then there's a lot of room for improvement. I won't say you have a problem, but what I will definitely say is that you can wow the shoes off of your client. And so definitely something to think about. So when we talk about customer experience, it's really from the time that the client has contact with your business to the day that relationship ends. What was that experience? What were the emotions that were created around that? What are the stories that they will go and tell to their friends and their family and other people that maybe you do want as clients as well? Will you be able to use customer experience to drive customer advocacy, which is a completely different thing on its own again. But customer experience is at the heart of any successful business. It doesn't really matter whether you're a doctor, and they have lots of room for improvement, or whether you are a financial planner, or you're in legal, or you're an accountant, or tax practitioner. It doesn't really matter what profession you're in, or even any other kind of business. Is if you think about customer experience and you understand their journey, you can really take your business to a whole different world, never mind a different level. So the first sort of part around this is to ask what did great experiences look like in the old world? Now, the old world is obviously now this whole new, everybody adopted virtual and is happy to work in a virtual environment. I'm not talking just about us as financial planners, also talking about clients specifically, because that was our biggest thing. As I mentioned previously on the show, that I always wanted to go virtual, but then I still tended to do everything face-to-face, just out of, maybe habit. But also it was such a mission to convince the other person to adopt this different way of working because they wanted to work face-to-face. Now that all of that has been turned on its head. I was when we did the best practice huddle on Wednesday with the Propulsion Pro members, it was really amazing, some of the conversations that came out of there and some of the information that was shared. And you suddenly realize, and I think you'll see when Razan is talking later, that it's really, things have turned on its head much more than we think. And then there were some people that were living in the UK and living in Canada and all sorts of places, or have people that they know that live there. And the thing is that they are still we are so far ahead in South Africa. And I think in our minds, we always think we're behind. We have come such a long way, and because of necessity. So we have to. I was watching this video about this guy talking about this article that came out at the post office, the South African post office. I don't know if you saw this. This was actually something David should have mentioned on his part. But the South African post office suspended services to the Ukraine and Russia. So, which is quite funny because they can't even deliver in Krugersdorp or Centurion or Cape Town or wherever. So that's quite a thing. But from that point of view, I just think because we had to deal with things like that, we came up with innovative ways to deal with this, and we adopted technology at a much higher speed than what we maybe realized. And that's really what I'm talking about: this new world versus the old world. So if I look at what great experiences look like in the old world, and it's not like these things are out the door and that we can't use it or anything like that, but sort of what I always advise people to do is envision the journey, right? So there you come as a new client, you park at your office, what does it look like? You walk in, what are you seeing? What is that whole thing? What is that first impressions that's being created? you get to reception, there's a smiling staff member there, very friendly, welcomes you, make you feel welcome and all of that. And then sort of, where is the waiting area? What does it look like? What does it feel like to sit there? If everybody else is passing you, are they friendly, saying hi, making the person feel welcome? And then you sort of say, oh, sure, I need to use the bathroom. And then you go to the bathroom. What does the freaking bathroom look like? That was such a thing for me always, wow, I can't believe people let people go here. But that's an important thing. Okay, so now you don't have to worry about that anymore in the new world, I guess. But from there, now the meeting starts. What does your office look like? What is that experience? All of that. Or are you always meeting clients at coffee shops? So it was this whole thing around that. And I think all of that has now obviously changed, because now 90%, at least I would say, of people would prefer doing it virtual, and every now and then maybe face-to-face. But it means that in the old world, you were in full control. You controlled the environment. It was also a big reason why you wanted people to come to your office. And I know that many financial advisors never did the office-based practice. You went and saw clients at their premises or at the Mug and Bean or wherever, but not in an office, which means you couldn't control your environment, and which means you couldn't have a fantastic customer experience from that point of view when they are engaging with you. But doesn't mean that it was bad. Paying for breakfast always wins a lot of points in my books. But you were able to offer these special things, and you were able to do very special sort of little things that you could only do at your office, for example. And you knew that when the client was there, you had their full attention and all of those things. So that was sort of the old world. And, I started off by saying when we opened the show this morning, you could offer chocolates or a variety of things for them to eat, a variety of things for them to drink. And, that was amazing, because at most places you get coffee. And now you rock up here, you can choose cappuccino, hot chocolate, Earl Grey, rooibos, all those good stuff you could choose, and even smoothies. And, some people really go big with these things. And it's so nice because it is so different, and you stood out. And now suddenly people are not coming to your office. You can't do that anymore. And that's sort of the first part where I want to start. So if that is what a great experience looks like in the old world, I guess the question then becomes, but what would it look like in the new world? And I am going to share some key elements of a great customer experience. So what is today, what is necessary if you want to create that? There's certain key elements. So it's not so much about the stuff that you do. It's these key principles that needs to be embedded in that customer experience in a virtual world, and it must be able to translate to the physical world as well. So I'm going to look at that, and then I upped my 3 ideas to 5 ideas to level up your customer experience. So we are going to get into that. But what creates these great customer experiences? And I think a big thing is to make it easy for people. So it's just, removing as much friction as you can. That is most important. Remove all the friction you possibly can. Make it easy for people. Let them have choice around how they want to do things, etc. So that is sort of the first thing I think that looks like. But then the other thing that makes a great experience is something that works and that's slick. Because the last thing you want, I had a meeting with one of the sponsors for the conference on Tuesday. And can you believe it, that in all my years, I could not get into the meeting. It didn't work. And it's a Teams meeting. That is so frustrating. So for me, if it frustrates me and it wasn't their fault, I don't know what the hell was wrong. I had to restart my machine and get back in, so that the issue wasn't on their side. But it was still this frustrating experience. Now, I can just imagine if you have a client on the other end that has the same thing happen and they don't know where to go, they don't know where to start, they don't know what to change or anything like that. So what do? So making it simple and easy and clear around what they must do. So the guidance and sort of, getting them in there, because we assume that everybody knows how to use the stuff. They do, until something goes wrong. So it's just important to keep it simple. I've seen this so many times. If I think about the software we use in order to live stream this, I'm on those Facebook groups and I can see what people ask. And every time something goes wrong and something doesn't work, it's because they try and get fancy. It's because they don't understand what this piece of software is meant to do, and they want to use it for things it was not built to do. And that's something to be very wary of, that whatever you do in this customer experience, don't use something or implement something that is not meant to do the thing that you want it to do, and you think you can this is almost like using a car to plow the farmlands. It's like, yeah, it probably can for a little while, but it's not going to be as efficient. It's not going to work as well. It's going to be a lot of frustration there. So definitely those are the things I believe that will create great experiences in the new world. But let's get into the key elements. So key elements of great customer experience today. And there's sort of, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. And I want to share this with you. And the very first one, and this is also, there was a whole episode on this particular thing here in I think it was season 2 or season 1 even. But that's consistency. It is the absolute secret to all your success. But from a customer experience point of view, is you've got to ensure that there's consistency, which is also one of the things that we discussed in the best practice huddle on Wednesday, just as an add-on sort of discussion to what we were actually talking about in there. But there's certain things that you can implement and do in order to create this consistency. But you don't want a customer experience that does this. Like, it mustn't go up and down, up and down, up and down. It must be consistent. And if it's consistent, it means that the second element will then become part of this customer experience, and that is predictability. Because clients like to know what to expect. Because the one thing, if they don't know what to expect, they don't know where to set their expectations, which is always a problem. And which means for some clients, you will meet their expectations. For some of them, you'll exceed them. But for most of them, you'll probably not meet their expectations because there was nothing that set that expectation. And if your customer experience then it's fantastic, then it's, there's nothing. And then it's fantastic, and then there's not. That is a big, big problem. And it means that you're not predictable and people don't know what to expect. And that is a massive problem. And that's when people get frustrated and when they leave or there's fighting happening and all that good stuff. So that's the second one. The third one is that a great customer experience today must have saving someone's time at the heart of it. It is our most precious commodity. Our most precious asset is time. It's the one thing we can't get more of. You know this. We can't find more of it. It doesn't stand still. We can't pause it. We can't speed it up. We can't slow it down. We've got absolutely no control over time. It is the only thing in the world, in the universe, that just ticks on at the same pace all the time. And therefore, if we can save people time, then that would mean this is a great customer experience. Then simplicity. Simplicity is absolutely key. If we can make it as easy as possible, as I said earlier, I think that is the key to all of this. So it doesn't mean that it needs to be simplistic, because there's a massive difference between simplicity and simplistic. I think simplicity is taking something complex but making it easy for people. So what they see and what they experience is simple, and that, you know, underneath the bonnet, it may be a crazy sort of area full of wires and all sorts of funny things happening. But that's not something that the client needs to know or needs to see. From there, it's simple, it's easy to deal with you, and that's key. The last one is then flexibility. And a lot of things, I think people in this vein maybe also talk about personalization, you know, making things personal. It's sort of custom to me. It's tailored to me. But flexibility for me means that the client has options. So they can choose to do this or that, or work with you in this way or that way or that way. And they have these things that they can choose. And it seems like, but Francois, how do I manage something like that? Because it's absolutely crazy. If you think about, like, I've got 400 clients, how can I do the same thing in 400 different ways? What you'll find is that you won't. You'll probably do it in 3 different ways or 4 different ways at most. Because everybody thinks that everything is so unique and so personal. But you start putting everything together, you look at the data, and then you realize that, whoa, there's a massive overlap, and I can do this for that group of people, and suddenly you've got only 3 or 4 offerings, 3 or 4 ways of working, and you can manage that. So absolutely no problem. So those are the 5 key elements. So let me run through them again. Consistency, predictability, time saving, simplicity, and flexibility. So those are the 5 key elements. So if you look at your customer experience, you look at that journey that a client goes through in their life while they are a client of yours, can you see these 5 elements in there? If not, where can you introduce them into your customer experience and that client journey? Right. So then we've got the 5 ideas. Right. So I've got 5 ideas sticking to the thing, I want to make it 5 simple ideas, because often, when we need to design this customer experience, we get overwhelmed because it's this massive thing that we need to think about. It's like, where do I start? I want to do all these wonderful things. How do I implement all of this? It's going to take me forever. And then let me just do the way that I used to do it. Now, I want to change that today. I want to say, here are 5 simple ideas that you can use to level up your customer experience. And some of them maybe you are doing already, and some of them you are definitely not doing. But it's some simple things that you can consider. Right, so let me get into it. The first one is appointment booking. So how do we make it easy for clients to book appointments with us, and to make sure that they are reminded? Remember, you don't confirm appointments, because as soon as you confirm an appointment, and I've got the whole thing on this, how to create a great virtual customer experience with your virtual meeting. So there's a whole program that's available on Circulus, but very important that we don't confirm appointments, because as soon as you go, hello, Johan, it is Francois. I just would like to confirm if we're still on for 3 o'clock. And that's what I'm saying, and what I'm hearing is like, I just want to say, listen, this is a reminder. But what Johan is hearing is that, hey, here's an opportunity to get out of this. As Francois, in fact, this happened. Please, can we reschedule? And you go like, because that's one of the complaints that I get all the time, is that people don't stick to the appointments. So they make these appointments, but they don't show, or they move, or they cancel, or they do things like this. And a subtle change is to remind them about their appointment. So this is a reminder. We are meeting at 3. We look forward. We have prepared well, and I can't wait to meet with you. How does somebody get out of that? Because like somebody's already prepared. They know you're coming. They're just reminding you that you need to be there. So there's not much room for getting out of that. But anyway, so if you think about that, as well as then follow up afterwards, thank you for meeting with us. If you have any questions, or you know what, you missed your meeting, we know life happens, can we reschedule, etc. So all of those things can actually be automated in some sense, or at least made easy. Because too often when it gets to appointment bookings is that we need to go, hello, Johan, you would like to meet with me? I'm available on Tuesday this time, Wednesday that time, and Friday that time. Johan comes back and says, Francois, unfortunately, I can't do that, but I can do this. And then Francois goes, okay, but I can't do that, but I can do this. You know this. And even if it doesn't matter whether it's you doing this or it's some of your admin staff helping you and assisting you, it is absolutely a big, big problem and a big frustration. So by having something where they can just go, click, and make that appointment when they need to, then that makes it so much easier. And we always give clients an option. We go, you know what? Yeah, here's my options. Or if it's easier for you, if these doesn't suit you, you're welcome to use our link to go and fit in, because they already agreed to the appointment. So that's one way of just making that easier. And even in your review process, that can help quite a lot. And you can set up workflows that will automatically remind them and automatically thank them and all sorts of stuff. So that's definitely one way. Right. So idea number 1. Idea number 2, the quality of your virtual setup. Now, you will not believe the difference it makes. Why? Because, look at this. Let me do this. So if you're listening to the podcast, unfortunately, you won't be able to see this, but I do want to just show the viewers watching at the moment that, if you look at that, so same setup, same everything, but now I have got my laptop camera. I'm looking down at you. It's grainy. It's not, and it's the same light. It's the same room. Everything is the same. The background, fantastic background, in my opinion. It's just amazing. I could even go like that and do this so that it looks a little bit, you don't see the roof. But I mean, compare this quality of video and then, look at what it could look like. So there you go. So back to this view, the quality is just so much easier to look at. It just is impressive. I always get people commenting on, wow, it looks nice. And if I'm not in my studio, because sometimes I'm lazy, so I do sit at the dining room table, they're like, but where's your studio? Why are you not in your studio? Because it becomes a thing and it just enhances the experience because everybody else is doing it the grainy way. So you don't want to do that. So invest into a proper webcam. At least they are like just over 2,000 Rand, the proper ones that I really recommend, which is a Logitech C922 or 6920 or even the C925. So the Logitech cameras are absolutely great, but those are the ones that I would absolutely 100% stand by. And then I'm not even talking about if you've got the budget to go and upgrade to like a proper mirrorless camera, but that's going to cost you at least 10 or 11 grand to do that. And there's other issues that come with it. So I think at least a 15,000 investment if you want to have a proper massive camera that really goes like high quality, and you've got control over all the settings and that. But for 2,000 rand, you can have a fantastic camera with a fantastic setup. Looking at your background, the light is so important. I think, we always say audio is the most important thing, because if the audio is crackling or the audio is soft or the audio is not great, it's very hard. I mean, you can close your eyes and not look at the video, but you can't really do that with your ears. So audio is very important, but I think lights are just as important. So spend time getting comfortable with this and how you can have a setup that at least looks professional. And still, I won't say I hate, but I don't like these virtual backgrounds. Some of them are great. If you have great lighting on you and your camera is good, it actually, you sometimes battle to tell the difference. But rather invest in getting a proper, you have your office. Doesn't matter the fact that it's at home or in your garden shed or in your garage or wherever you're doing this. Make sure that you have a proper setup. Invest into it, because that impression, that experience and everything is just enhanced exponentially. So that will be the second one. So the quality of your virtual setup. Then third one, access to information for clients. And here I'm really referring to things like client portals. All the systems basically have them. There are standalone client portals that one can use. But making information available, because there's a lot of benefit that come from this. Number one, you look at the stats where people are using client portals. It's late at night. It's the weirdest times that clients log into these client portals. And yeah, many of them never log in, but we found that a lot of them do log in once a month at least. And it's the most weirdest hours of the day that they do that. So giving access to that information that you can actually control, that would be then amazing. So definitely think about that. There's so many benefits. They can update certain information that you allow them to. You can send documents back and forth. Even signatures can be done via these things. So very, very important that one considers about, how do I provide my client access to their information? Very, very important. We're going to have people on the show in a couple of weeks that I saw a system of, which is really, really awesome. And really looking forward to getting to chat to them around, it's more on the fiduciary side of things, but it's really, really interesting what they have done. And there's similar other systems out there, but they've done some really unique things. But that's a simple way of giving people access to the information as well. Right. The fourth thing is then to offer different entry points. Now, I can't stress how important this is. So offer different entry points for clients. Now, that means, when clients wanted to meet with you, they can come to your office. You can meet them at their place, or you could do a virtual meeting. So that is one part of it. But the other things are, how can people communicate with you? Now, I prefer, for example, communicating via WhatsApp, and I want to be able to send you a voice note or a text or whatever I want to do. Other people would want to prefer to send emails. Other people still on SMS. Some people actually want to communicate with you via your Facebook page or via your Instagram account or your LinkedIn. And do we allow clients these opportunities? And do we actually make it easy for them to be able to do that, to just click on it and then go to that? And, here's my communication way or my choice of communication, and I can just do it directly from here. So this is very, very important in my opinion. And it comes back to that flexibility. And if you think about all these things, consistency, predictability, time saving, simplicity, and flexibility is all part of all of these things that I've shared with you thus far. Then the fifth idea, and this is now going back to the big leather couches and the nice tables and music in the background, nice smells in the air because you made sure that it's great. Offering chocolates and croissants and even toasted and whatever, and these fantastic, weird and wonderful teas and coffees prepared by a barista. And, if you really went next level. So all of that, how can we replace this? And what can we do to go to sort of translate from the virtual world to the physical world? In my mind, there's something very simple, and that is home delivery. So deliver something. So if you had a leather-bound file that you used to give all your clients, still do that. Have it delivered to their home. Have a basket that you deliver to a new client. You know, if somebody has a meeting with you and the meeting is a week from now, why not deliver something to them in person that would detail of how to go through the process of meeting with you, or what to expect from you, or send something with a QR code that they can scan, and there's a welcome video and say, listen, man, I'm Francois, and I'm so excited to meet with you, and blah, 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 blah. So how do we just make these things work together? So home delivery, think about something that you can deliver to their home, when you would do it, why you would do it, and for who you would do it, because maybe this is only for certain clients and not for everyone, but definitely that. Right, so 5 ideas. Appointment bookings, look at that. The quality of your virtual setup, can't overstress that enough. Access to client information, offer different entry points for clients, and home delivery. So those are 5 ideas of how you can level up your customer experience today. And you don't have to do all 5 of them. Choose one and make it work well for you. And then do a second one and make that work well, and a third one, etc. Or add your own thing. So if you have some ideas, please share that in the chat. I see there's quite a few things happening in the chat. I will get to that in a second. But I first need to share with you, how do we keep leveling up? Because, you know, like, things keep changing and things keep moving, and clients, the demands go up and the expectations change all the time. And the thing is, are we staying with that, right? So if we talk about just how do I keep leveling up, for me, there's sort of also 5 very, very simple things that one could do. The first one is you have to create, and this is a new term I learned, by the way, so it's not something that I knew of, but it is a new term that I learned recently. But there's always on opportunity for clients to give feedback. And there's many system providers that do this very successfully. There's many financial advisors who do this very, very successfully. And what I mean by always on is that there's always this link, for example, at the bottom of your email saying, please rate my service. Or whenever you've done something for a client, there is a link that gets emailed to them or WhatsApp to them to say, please rate our service. Please give us feedback. But not just that, what you also need to do is to make sure that they can at any time go and find a link like that and give you feedback. So that's what I mean with always on. There was in all the different places, if you think about the always on thing, and you think about the different entry points, like how do I make this available on all those entry points where people can just give me feedback? Feedback is your friend. Feedback is what you need to grow your business and to enhance your customer experience, your value proposition, and all of that. The second thing is to proactively engage with clients, to literally ask them, because not all of them are going to click that link and then go in and give you feedback and take the time. And even if they do, sometimes it's very short feedback and you want to know more. So also proactively engage with clients around their experience of your business and what it's like to work with you and your team, etc. The way you work. What do they think about your meetings? What would be great for them? So proactively engage some of them. The third one is to study your data. You won't believe, because you sit with all this data in your CRM or your Excel file or wherever you're keeping this, but study that data. Look for trends. Look for things that you can improve. Look for things that people are asking over and over again. If you've got a good task management system and you categorize and tag these things properly, you will be able to see that there's a certain problem that keeps creeping up. It just doesn't stop. So there's an opportunity to improve the customer experience. Find out, maybe it's the service provider you're using. Maybe it's your process. Maybe it's a training issue, whatever it may be. But there's little things like that one can identify from looking at your data. The fourth one is to study trends in other industries. And you know that I'm big on this. I really believe in this. And I've had people on the show like Barry Austin. He's a mountain bike coach, and we learned so much from him. That was episode 2. If you missed that, go check it out. But it's been like you learn so much from other businesses and other professions and other industries to see what's happening there. And that is really what's something that can help you shape your customer experience, because your customers' expectations are going to come from other industries. It's not what we create and where we say, oh, we're now going from A to B. No, they experience something in another industry and they go to themselves like, but geez, wouldn't it be fantastic if my financial planner did this, or if the financial services industry did this, or the banking industry or whatever? That's what's happening. And that's where you can find a lot of gold and things where you can really distinguish yourself from the rest. And then a big one for me, I learned this as a broker consultant back in 1998. Steal. You need to steal with your eyes. Don't physically take stuff. You'll be locked up. But, steal with your eyes. See what other people are doing. Look at what's happening. When we have people on the show, have a look at what their video backgrounds look like and their setup look like, and etc. And learn from that and say, "Whoa, I'm going to incorporate that one element, or I'm going to redo the whole thing because this is just next level stuff." Whatever it may be, but steal with your eyes. Just be open. It's almost like, when you want to buy a certain car, suddenly you see them everywhere on the road. As soon as you start looking for these things, you start seeing them everywhere. So just be open to say, I'm at this point in this. Like we went to the barnyard the other night. I was watching the show Queen and ABBA, fantastic. But I'm looking at the lights and listening to the sound, and I'm looking at what they're doing and how things are positioned. And so my mind is wired in a completely different manner at the moment because I'm learning all the time about how I can do this for my show and for what it is that we do and the content and everything that we create. So so that's that. So. Thank you very much. What a wonderful show today. I really, really enjoyed it. I wish we could go for 2 hours. Very interesting enough with the state of digital. We are going to have a full-on session on Propulsion Pro on this, and Razan, her and I will be in conversation around this, and we're going to do that in Propulsion Pro. So really looking forward to that. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back next week from Hermanus, from all places. Doing going to Cape Town next week, and then we'll be in Hermanus on Friday. So we will be broadcasting live from Hermanus. So looking forward to that. We've broadcasted from quite a few interesting places before, and this is going to top the list, I'm pretty sure. But please have a great weekend. Be safe, be blessed, prosper. Remember to raise the bar. Love you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. Remember to check out the live show, Propulsion Live, on YouTube every Friday at 7 a.m. South African time. You can find it at www.propulsion.co.za/live. That's propulsion.co.za/live. And please remember to subscribe, share with your colleagues, your friends, and anyone who may find value like you did in this podcast. Once again, thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next episode.